Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. The text came in at 6:42 p.m. We need to talk tonight. Please don't make this harder than it already is. I stared at my phone while the pasta boiled over on the stove, the kitchen filled with the smell of burnt tomato sauce, sharp and bitter. For a moment I just stood there, wooden spoon in hand, feeling like I'd missed a step walking down the stairs. We'd been married 9 years. 9 steady, ordinary years. We weren't dramatic people. We argued about bills and what show to binge. We made up before bed. But for the past 3 months something had shifted. It started small. She began turning her phone face down on the table. She'd step out onto the balcony to take work calls, even on weekends. When I'd ask who texted at midnight, she'd shrug. Just Melissa. You're being paranoid. So I told myself I was. I blamed stress. I blamed my own insecurity. I blamed everything except her. That night, when she walked through the door, she didn't kiss me. She set her purse down carefully like it might explode. Her eyes were already glossy. Not from crying, just resolved. Daniel, she said quietly. That tone. The one you use before you tell someone their dog died. I forced a smile. You scared me with that text. She didn't smile back. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. The burnt sauce still hung in the air. She didn't mention it. Didn't apologize for being late. She folded her hands together like she was in church. I'm spending tonight with another man. The words didn't register at first. They floated in the space between us, abstract and harmless. Then they landed. What? I asked, almost laughing. 'Cause surely this was a joke. A cruel one. She met my eyes and whispered it again. I'm spending tonight with another man. There was no anger in her voice. No defiance. Just fact. I felt something tear inside my chest. Not sharp, more like fabric ripping slowly. Is this supposed to hurt less because you're honest about it? I asked. She swallowed. I didn't want to lie anymore. So there it was. Confirmation of the thing I'd been trying not to see. Who is he? My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Someone from work. Of course. All those late meetings. The conferences. The new perfume she started wearing. The sudden gym membership. How long? I asked. A few months. Few months. The same length of time she'd started guarding her phone like it contained state secrets. The same time she stopped reaching for me in bed. I thought about our anniversary in June. The way she'd smiled across the candlelight. The way she'd held my hand. Was that real? Or had she been thinking about him? Are you in love with him? I asked. She didn't answer right away. And silence is louder than any confession. I don't know, she finally said. I feel alive when I'm with him. Alive. So what had she felt with me? Dead? My first instinct was to shout. To flip the table. To beg. Instead I asked, why tell me like this? She looked at me and for the first time I saw fear. Because I didn't want to sneak around tonight. I didn't want to lie about where I was going. You could have just not gone. Her jaw tightened. It's not that simple. It never is. I stood up and walked to the sink, gripping the counter so hard my knuckles turned white. The window above it reflected us like strangers in someone else's house. Do you remember our first apartment? I asked quietly. She blinked, confused by the shift. The one with the broken heater. We slept in sweaters. You used to curl into me because you were freezing. Her eyes softened. I worked double shifts so we could afford this place, I continued. We built this. Together. I know, she whispered. And for the first time her voice cracked. So when did I stop being enough? Her face crumpled. You didn't. That's the worst part. You didn't do anything wrong. That hurt more than blame would've. 'Cause if I'd failed I could fix it. But this was her choice. She stood slowly. I never meant for it to happen. But you let it, I said. Tears slid down her cheeks now. Real ones. I felt invisible, Daniel. Like we were roommates. Like our lives were just routine. I opened my mouth to argue. To list the vacations, the date nights, the quiet mornings with coffee. But routine isn't the absence of love. It's the shape of it. Still, I understood what she meant. We had grown comfortable. Predictable. Safe. And apparently safety bored her. She grabbed her coat from the chair. My heart started pounding. "You're really going?" I asked. She nodded, but she couldn't look at me. That's when I said it. The thing that stopped her cold. "If you walk out that door tonight," I said steadily, "don't come back." The room went silent. She froze mid-step. I didn't yell it. I didn't threaten. I just stated it like a fact. Her shoulders trembled. "Daniel, I love you," I said. "I love you enough to not share you. And I love myself enough to not beg." The words surprised even me. But once they were out, I felt something shift inside. Not strength exactly, but clarity. You don't get to test drive another life and keep this one as backup. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "I thought you'd fight for me," she whispered. "I am," I replied. "Just not the way you expected." Tears streamed down her face. For a moment I thought she'd drop the coat, that she'd run into my arms. Instead she walked to the door. She paused, hand on the handle. "I never stopped loving you," she said. "Then you shouldn't have looked for it somewhere else." She flinched. And then she left. The door clicked shut, quiet and final. I stood there for a long time, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the ticking clock, the ordinary sounds of a life that had just fractured. Memories flooded in. The day she said yes, the way she squeezed my hand during scary movies, the softness of her laugh. Now they felt like photographs from someone else's album. I didn't chase her. I didn't call. Instead, I cleaned the burnt pot. I wiped down the table. I folded the napkins she barely touched. Because sometimes strength looks like doing the dishes while your heart breaks. She texted at 2:13 a.m. "I'm so sorry." I didn't respond. In the morning, I called a lawyer. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't anger. It was acceptance. Love without respect is just longing. And I refused to live on leftovers. Weeks later, when she came by to pick up the rest of her things, she looked smaller somehow. "Regret does that." "I didn't think you'd really let me go," she said quietly. I met her eyes. "You let yourself go." She nodded, tears welling again. As she carried the last box to her car, I felt the ache, but also something steadier underneath it. Self-respect. I loved her. But I loved myself enough to close the door she chose to open. And that, in the end, was what stopped her cold.